And up comes Diane. Well, I used to do a lot of backpacking. When I lived out west, I lived out in San Diego, and my favorite place to go was always Anza Borrego Desert State Park. It's a lovely place. It's beautiful, stark landscapes, and my favorite place in Anza Borrego was a place called Sheep Canyon, where the water trickles down all year round through the boulders and, all crazy stuff. And everywhere it forms a pool, you get a grove of palm trees. So it's like a little bit of paradise every couple of miles all the way up. It's just lovely. Anyway, my dad, however, was a sailor. He spent most of his time, free time, sailing around up and down the coast of California and Mexico. And so I was kind of surprised when he said yes when I asked him if he wanted to go backpacking in the desert for 3 days. He said, sure. Okay. You don't ever know your parents quite as well as you think you do. So we packed up all of our stuff. My friend Mike came along, and we
Scrapyard.
moron alert. Anyway, so we got there bright and early. We got there just as the sun was coming up. We pulled into the little parking lot there. There was nobody there. It was June. There was nobody there. There was nobody at the ranger station. So we just, locked up the car and took off. So we hiked in. It was 96 degrees that day. But it was dry. It was dry heat, right? So off we went, and we hiked until it got hot. And then we laid down in a pool under a waterfall. And then we got up and hiked in the evening when it cooled down again. Next day, we started out again. That day it was 110 degrees. But it was a dry heat. So we stuck with the plan. We hiked in the morning, lay in the pool, and hiked in the evening. But as we were hiking, we came across a boot. People lose stuff all the time. Yeah, it's a boot. It's sort of a cowboy boot. We hiked a little farther. There was another boot. A little farther, there was a belt. A little farther, there's a pair of pants and a shirt. And finally, we came up to one of those palm groves, and there was a tent. The tent was sort of knocked down. There wasn't anybody around. There wasn't a sleeping bag in the tent. So we just sort of looked around, yelled a little bit. Nobody there. So we kept going. The next day, we turned around to come back because, it was a 3-day weekend, right? And it was 117 degrees that day. But it was a dry heat. It was a dry heat like you get when you stick your head in the oven. Anyway, so we tootled on down, and we got down to the car, and the car was surrounded by park rangers and police, and they said, "Is this your car?" Yeah. Anybody else with you? No, just the three of us. Okay, well, it turned out that some yahoo had gone walking up the canyon and decided to sample the Jimson weed, which is datura, for you gardeners, is this the white flowers that bloom at night. It's poisonous, right? And so he just went out of his head and took off all his clothes and went for a walk in the desert. And to his great good fortune, was found naked next to the highway. So that was my dad's introduction to backpacking. As it turns out, the first of several times. They weren't all that eventful. Anyway, we've all got to get used to that kind of heat anyway, because it's coming. Woo! Up in the morning, roll out of bed. Got to get walking, 'cause the horses are dead. Shake out your boots, 'cause it's time to move on. Put some miles on your feet by the first light of dawn. No one was watching when you rode out of town, except that gray-haired old-timer and that worn-out old hound. Blind yaller dog, just a scratching his fleas when that old feller coughs and he says with a wheeze, eat when you're hungry, drink when you're dry, walk while the sun is still low in the sky, and don't lose your way or you surely will die, 'cause it's a long hot trail back to Tucson. Up in the morning, by noon you're half dead, by nightfall you're digging in a dry riverbed. 6 foot of sand and a slab of dry stone, and wondering if you're gonna die here alone. You never paid him no mind, you let him work that jawbone, you let him talk that palaver, let him spew, let him drone. With his dog and his cane and his hat and his lice and his mouth full of chaw and too much free advice. He said something like, eat when you're hungry, drink when you're dry, walk while the sun is still low in the sky. Don't lose your way or you surely will die, 'cause it's a long hot trail back to Tucson. Plumb out of luck, try not to stumble 'cause you might not get up. Try not to notice those birds overhead, them dang turkey buzzards wishing that you were dead. Stare up at the sun and out across the dry land. That just might be water, but it might just be sand. Your head starts to reel and your eyes have gone red, and you try to remember what that old timer said. What'd he say now? Eat when you're hungry, drink when you're dry, walk while the sun is still low in the sky. Don't lose your way or you surely will die, 'cause it's a long hot trail back to Tucson. When you're hungry, drink when you're dry, walk while the sun is still low in the sky. Don't lose your way or you surely will die, 'cause it's a long hot trail back to Tucson. It's a long hot trail back to Tucson. And that's Diane Chodkowski on the harmony vocals, and now we got Rhonda back up again.